Jane Simmons is back. Thank you, Jane, for coming with a title called Romancing the Future. I like it, looking ahead. So Jane has been with us many times before, and I think needs no big introduction, but here we go anyway. She's seminary at University graduate at Unity minister, an ordained Unity minister. Did the pulpit from 2020 or stopped then, and no doubt is a powerful speaker, author, workshop facilitator, trainer, educator, reader of Mad Magazine, and a virtual online learning. So, Jane, welcome. Take it away.
Thank you so much. And yes, I was an avid reader of Mad Magazine, and you're going to see evidence of that today. I'm just going to call up my slides. And a reminder to Kyle that I like to do my talk and then the meditation after. I forgot to remind you. But good morning, everybody. It's so good to be with you. I always look forward to being with my wonderful Kansas City friends and Kansas City and area friends. It makes my heart happy. So I'm glad to be here. But let me ask you, is there anybody here who's worried about the future in some way? Anybody? There we go. There's the Mad Magazine reference. I mean, it could be your personal future. It could be you're worrying about the future of this country, the planet, your loved ones, your children, your grandchildren, anyone, anybody, you can just cough it up, raise your hand, because I'm definitely, it's confession time for me. I'm definitely one of those people who worries, and frankly, about all those things. So this morning, I want to invite all of us to take a closer look at what we can do about that. What can we do about it? And so if you're up for it, let's keep going. Unity's third principle tells us the thoughts that we routinely think end up creating how we experience our lives. And I'm here to tell you they can also change our future. You see, because the best way to change your future is to what? Create it in the first place. You heard my talk title, Romancing the Future. By romancing, I mean attracting, cultivating, courting, nurturing, wooing into existence. This idea of romancing the future comes from Dr. Joe Dispenza. Dr. Joe is pretty big on transformation and creating a new future, and he gives us some clues about how to do that. Now, you've probably heard the saying in New Thought that worry is the misuse of imagination. I would agree with that, because what I've noticed is that my imagination can easily run wild. It can conjure up scenarios of all the things that could possibly go wrong. I'm convinced I could be a highly successful fiction writer just by revealing the contents of my mind, right? Because it's just always creating this scenario of doom and gloom. There's a storyteller in my head, and very fond of spinning tales of doom. And of all the things I worry and stew about, how many of them actually come to pass? Well, typically, whatever I'm imagining is worse than what actually ends up happening. I'm reminded of Mark Twain's quote, "I'm an old man and have known many troubles, but most of them never happened." That's been my experience. But there's a reason why we do this. And this is because of an internal survival mechanism called a negativity bias. Negativity bias. What that means is that our brain, specifically the reptilian brain, is equipped to look for danger. We're designed to notice and focus on the negative rather than the positive. Rick Hanson, author of the book Buddha's Brain, uses the analogy of Velcro and Teflon to explain how this works. Since our brain's priority is survival, it's looking for threats rather than rainbows. So positive things slide off our field of awareness like Teflon, and we take them for granted, while focusing on the negative, holding on to it like Velcro, as if our life depended upon it, which in fact it does. You see, it's more important for us, for our survival, to see the crocodile lurking in the water than it is to discover if the water is safe enough to drink. The crocodile is the more immediate threat, so we need to notice that threat, and it sticks to our awareness like Velcro, whereas the cleanliness of the water, the beauty of the surroundings, those things can slide off like Teflon. So a negativity bias actually has a positive intent, self-protection. It's very helpful if we want to go for a swim. Or in our past, it was vital when we had saber-toothed tigers roaming around. However, in this day and age, we can be so easily triggered by paper tigers, traffic jams, a thoughtless remark, someone's judgment, breaking news blues, especially if we feel powerless to change it. Khalil Gibran notes that it's not thinking about the future that causes the anxiety so much, it's trying to control it. So believing that things are out of our control causes a great deal of fear, worry, and anxiety. And for me, that actually morphs into anger. And when that happens, we can find ourselves emotionally hijacked, perpetually in survival mode, stuck in the clutches of the reptilian brain, or lizard brain, sometimes called, focusing only on the negative, feeling threatened by it, making up stories around it, gathering evidence that confirms what our negativity bias is telling us, and feeling helpless to do anything about it. Does that sound familiar to any of you? I mean, that's kind of how life is for me these days. In fact, I recently watched myself turn into a raging maniac, full-on lizard brain, when I got stuck in a traffic jam gridlock, and it took me 15 stoplights to turn and get onto the highway taking me home. Why? Because people kept blocking my lane, wouldn't let me through. So I was unable to fix this, and that triggered lizard brain even more. I wish I could tell you I stayed calm, connected to my heart, deep in the knowing that this was a blessing in some way. I would be lying if I told you that. In the state I was in, everything went out the window. I threw out any belief in one presence, one power. You know that nothing in Noah is against me thing. That went too. And it took a while for me to calm down and remember what I know to be true, which is this: what we focus on grows. It expands. And if I'm looking through a lens that says these people are blocking my way and I can't go anywhere, or a lens that says I fear for my world and there's nothing I can do about it except feel worried and helpless, or if I'm looking through the lens of these corporations are destroying the planet and I have no power to stop them, then I'm going to have a much different experience of life than if I focus on the deeper heart intelligence that says this: I'm a divine being, here to claim that truth, to be the change that I am seeking. What I'm focusing on with my thoughts, it matters. It truly does, especially if there's emotion behind it. I mean, the Buddha said it best: what we think, we become. We're all part of the oneness of life. We have access to a deeper source that can transform our lives and those around us, and we have a choice of what we focus on. Very important for us to remember that. I mean, Unity's first two principles tell us there's one presence, one power, one life living through and as each one of us, and we are connected to that presence. We're each an inlet and an outlet of the divine. And if that's true, then there is something we can do about it. There is something we can do about it that can help to transform not only our personal lives, but the greater world. So let me ask you, are you ready to step into the truth of who you are? Are you ready to do that? Are you willing to be the change that you're looking for in the world? And are you prepared to romance that future that you want to see into manifestation? The correct response is yes, by the way. So the first thing I want to do is catch myself when I'm in a negativity bias moment, when I'm hearing the voice of doom, when I'm being run by rigid thought patterns. Okay, I want to find that. Maybe I'm angry, maybe I'm worrying. And in the midst of that, to pause, to awaken in the midst of the storyteller's yarn and to step back. There's such power in the pause. And it's what can give us spaciousness in order to choose to respond rather than jumping into reactivity. Living from spaciousness doesn't mean we disengage from life. No, it means we stop fighting and resisting what is. And when we're able to pause, we can stop looking for someone to blame, someone who's at fault. Because when I blame others, I remain at the mercy of whoever or whatever I'm assigning that blame to. You see, I just hand all my power over to that person or that thing, whatever it is, that situation. All the power that I have to make a difference, it's gone. And that will bring up even more feelings of helplessness for me, right? I'll get stuck in polarized thinking, us and them thinking. So there's a better way for us. And it's time for us to up our game. I really believe that's true. To move out of powerlessness, to step into who we've come here to be, the truth of who we are. Help to usher in this new future. I believe it can be done. I really do. We have way showers who have demonstrated what I'm talking about. One of my personal heroes, Mahatma Gandhi, he's an example of someone who romanced a new future into manifestation. He served as a willing conduit for peaceful, nonviolent transformation to emerge. He wasn't always so peaceful. In fact, as a young man, he was pretty hot-tempered. And he learned to overcome his anger, was able to convert the passion that was behind it into compassionate action. He says this, I've learned through bitter experience the one supreme lesson to conserve my anger. And as heat conserved is transmuted into energy, our anger controlled can be transmuted into a power which can move the world. Man, did I need to read those words this week. So that's the work. We need to clean up our own backyard, take care of our own unfinished business, healing, integrating any unconscious shadow material that we're projecting out onto the world. As Gandhi says, he couldn't expect to put out fires of anger and hatred elsewhere if they were smoldering within him. And that's the work for those of us who have a desire and a willingness to assist in the emergence of a kinder, more compassionate world. It's a new paradigm of living. So he was able to overcome his anger through his spiritual practice. For him, it was Hindu chanting, meditation. So we don't just swallow this anger, by the way. We certainly don't use spiritual practice as a bypass. But we do have a power within us that can liberate and transmute the energy of that anger, that fear, into something that can now be a blessing. So he took the passion behind his anger. He learned to channel it into a passion for changing the world. And when I look at Gandhi and his wisdom, I mean, it's a real David and Goliath story. This tiny man in a loincloth taking on the whole British Empire using nonviolence. And if you check your history books, I think you'll find that the British Empire are not too keen on nonviolence. They're the total opposite of that. So through his inner work, as well as his outer leadership, he demonstrated the power of love in action, transforming anger into passionate, compassionate action, moving from lizard brain to wizard brain, I love that, by tapping into the infinite intelligence and stillness of the heart. So I became aware of how much I was worrying about the future of this country, of the planet. And I decided, you know what, I'm not going to push it away. I'm not going to try to distract myself or find some way to cover it up. I gave myself permission to worry about everything that could possibly go wrong. I set a timer for 10 minutes. I said, go for it. Have at it. And when the timer went off, I was done with all my worrying. Then I set a timer for 20 minutes and I practiced this, going to my heart, feeling self-compassion, listening to my heart's wisdom around all the things I've been worrying about and sending it forth to bless the world. And guess what? It worked. I became very peaceful. I gained clarity on what was mine to do, and I realized this is my version of Gandhi's practice. So within us, there is an unchanging presence awaiting our discovery. We may have believed that situations, people, problems have power over us today, but we can deliberately change that. We can choose to align with the presence and let it work through and as us. Move from being reactive to being proactive. You see, reactive to proactive. As the environmental activist Matthew Fox says, getting in touch with the inner mystic, that's the beginning of our work. That's how service begins. We have to go within. We have to find the mystic, a wizard brain within our hearts. That's the beginning of our compassionate action. And it's an inner transformation, changing our state to one in which we're in alignment with what we're seeking to come forth. That's the beginning of romancing a future into being. We come into alignment with what we want to see happen, and then we start acting from that state until we see it reflected back to us. Ernest Holmes, founder of Science of Mind, tells the story of a conversation he had with a man who was looking to attract a romantic relationship into his life. And so to create this new future wife, the man had prepared a list of what he was looking for in a wife. He showed it to Dr. Holmes, and this is what Dr. Holmes said: the day that your reflected image in the spiritual universe measures up to that which you desire, then the wife who ought to be will show up for you. You have to become this, what you're looking for. You have to become this first. In other words, when we become the change, it'll show up in our life. We'll see it mirrored back to us. That's how it works. And we can say this about anything we're wanting to manifest. Prayer is not about making something happen. It's about changing our inner state to be in alignment with the change that we are seeking in such a way that whatever it is, it can't help but happen. See? And it's time for us, don't you think, to stand up, to prove these principles that we espouse, to actually practice what we preach. So in order to transform the future, I have to pay attention to what I'm creating right now. We're all creative beings. Are we creating a world through our noble, authentic selves, or through our limited identities, the egoic identity? Are we creating consciously or unconsciously? That's the question. And if I'm being triggered and affected emotionally by what's happening in my life and in the world, then I have to deal with that first before I move into action. As Rumi said, yesterday I was clever. I wanted to change the world. Today I'm wise, changing myself. So making the transition from outer blame to inner contemplation, it's a huge step. It's probably the biggest hurdle. During my raging traffic jam experience, it took me a while to get from lizard to wizard brain. I had some serious heart work to do to move into being a compassionate presence. Luckily for me, I had some support in doing that. When Gary found out I was stuck in traffic and wondering if I might die of old age before he ever saw me again, he stopped everything he was doing at home. He went into a meditative heart space for me, and he stayed there until the gridlock unjammed and I made my way home. And you know what? I felt his loving support. I felt it helped to melt the anger away, and this is the beauty of spiritual community. See, that's the value of when we come together and we hold each other up. We don't do this work alone. We can't do it alone. We work together with a shared vision. And when we need support, we hold it for each other. We're all in this together. The Franciscan nun Ilia Delio, in her book, The Unbearable Wholeness of Being, says we're not strangers in this evolving universe. We are its future. We're not strangers. We're its future. And that's the key to change. We have to own our role in this. As spiritual beings having a human experience here to make a difference. We're not strangers on this planet. We are the avenue through which evolutionary change and transformation happens. Do you see it? Do you feel that? We're the avenue through which it happens. And if I want to bring forth a paradigm shift to a kinder, more compassionate world, it can only happen through us. It can only happen as us. We can't just leave it for somebody else. So first, can you conceive of a more compassionate future that wants to emerge? Can you believe it's even possible? Be willing to discover what you can't imagine as of yet. Be willing for that to happen. Because I have to tell you, it exists already. When I picture a new future, I'm not creating it. It already exists in the mental realm. We're just selecting it, see? So imagine if that future already exists in potentiality and it's calling forth something within you that only you can provide and that is necessary for it to manifest. And it emerges by romancing it into manifestation. Can you feel that? It's true. Dr. Joe writes, if you believe in the quantum model of reality, then you understand problems, challenges, conditions, adversities in our lives. They're created from a certain level of consciousness or unconsciousness. And as Einstein reminds us, we can't solve a problem at the same level of consciousness that created it. We have to do something different. So the key is to match our emotional state to the future that we want to create, and then act as if. Take the passion, take the intensity of the emotion that you may be feeling, let it be channeled into being the change that you seek. We need that passion if we're in for the long haul. And the word faith, you may remember, it stands for feel as if the thing happened. We need to practice feeling the way we're going to feel when what we envision comes forth. And then sustain that feeling until it manifests. Take action from that feeling. Make the thought an embodied experience. Bring yourself into agreement with the desired state of consciousness because we have to be that change before we see it. As Abraham Hicks puts it, believe in what you want so much it has no choice but to materialize. So think of creating a new future as being kind to your future self. Can you sort of step into that idea? I mean, have you ever heard Jerry Seinfeld talk about morning guy and night guy? It goes like this. Night guy likes to stay up late watching television. And he has a talk with himself around midnight where he knows he has to go to work early in the morning. He should go to bed. He knows he's going to regret it if he turns on a movie. But night guy says, well, that's morning guy's problem. And he turns on the movie. And then when he wakes up in the morning, having 5 hours sleep, his first thought is, I hate night guy. Now, in the midst of this silliness, there is some Seinfeld-style wisdom here. And that is, I don't want to find myself at the end of my life wondering why 2026 Jane didn't take the steps to bring forth a more compassionate world. You know, I would like to be kinder to my future self, as well as my children's future selves and my grandchildren's future selves. So I invite you to take some time. Imagine you're at the end of your life right now, looking back at the May 2026 version of you. What message would you have for your 2026 self? How can you be kinder to that future self? And if you're up for it, there is a bonus question. What would be your biggest regret? What would be your biggest regret? Pay attention to the answer to that and take steps that you don't have that regret. Because guess what? Living in regret can become your biggest regret. Pay attention to the times that you become emotionally triggered in some way. When you do, let the feeling come. Let it run its 90-second course, right? That's the lifestyle of an emotion. As long as you let it rise, crest, and fall. Let the 90 seconds come, and then take time to pause. Consult your heart. Feel appreciation. Sustain that feeling. Move from lizard to wizard brain. And in that state, ask your heart, is who I'm being right now in alignment with a kinder, more compassionate world that I want to see emerge? It's a great question. What must I transform within myself to serve its emergence? How will I feel when it comes to pass? Feel it now. Feel it now. And sustain that feeling until you are a vibrational match. Romance it into being. Feel as if the thing happened. Act as if. And move beyond belief to embodiment. Become the change. Guess what? Your future self will thank you. as will all of our future selves. So let's take a breath together as we give thanks for this opportunity to be the change. So I want to take a moment now to settle in and to feel those feelings. Let's take a breath. Let's sink our awareness deep within the body. Feel the soles of your feet. Are they planted? Do you feel grounded? Are they cold? Are they warm? Just notice when you shift your attention to the soles of your feet, what that feels like. Can you feel yourself embodying who you are right now? And as we slowly move our attention upward through the body, we notice any places of tension, maybe in the neck or the shoulders, maybe around the eyes, the jaw, places where it hides, and we let go of it. Let go of it. If you need to tense up any parts of your body and then release, go ahead and do that. We carry so much of the weight of the world in our shoulders. And so we turn our attention to our breathing now, and we let it anchor us even deeper into this now moment. Just follow the breath in and out. No need to control it, change it, just become aware of it. Let it anchor you. And with the next breath, imagine you're breathing right into your heart space. And now bring into your awareness someone or something that you deeply appreciate. Someone or something that activates a feeling of gratitude in your heart. And let it rise up. Let it expand throughout your body. This is a higher vibration. Appreciation. We're bringing a coherent energetic signal throughout the body, blessing every cell. It's a healing vibration. Jesus started every prayer with a thank you. We want to get ourselves into gratitude before we go any further in our meditation. And we let it grow and expand beyond the body. Knowing that each one of us is here to be the one in our lives, to make a difference in our world, to be the presence of love, compassion, kindness, peace. And as we step into that truth, one heart at a time, we begin to bring forth a new paradigm of living. A world that works for all, not just a select few. So we take a breath into the heart, and we let that gratitude expand even more. There is a deep well of love within us. And as we go to the source, we bring it forth into the world where the avenue through which love is shared on this planet. And so for the opportunity to be love in action, to be the presence of kindness on this day, we give grateful thanks in the name of all that is gracious, all that is holy. We say thank you, God. Amen. So it is.
Jane, that was amazing. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. What I love about what and how you present is all of the different what thought leaders that write, and you capture from them what it is that you're about in your talk. And I just think that's a wonderful, wonderful way to go about it. So, wow, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
I also have another thing. I've read a book somewhere where if you if the weather gets you down, if like it's raining or it's cold, or and you decide that it's just terrible way in my life to have all this happening, you can change the weather in your head and have it be a sunny day, and or just simply make it what you want. And so the idea is letting an outside factor control you, and something like that, I think, is exactly what you're saying with the wizard and the lizard. Thank you. It was great.